Everybody, welcome to Inside Quest. Our goal is to take you inside the minds of the world's most effective thinkers so that you can learn with ease what they have oftentimes learned with great difficulty. And if you pay attention, I promise you, our guests will help you acquire the behaviors and thought patterns you need to be successful in anything that you...
This is MongolianMindset, and today we're going to be typing Simon Sinek, one of the moderators in the Discord has threatened that if I don't get Simon Sinek on here, he's going to lose his mind. So we're going to get Simon Sinek on the channel. We follow Linda Barrens Interaction Styles and Temperament combined with cognitive functions. I will leave a link to where you can watch me break down each one of these metrics and also the cognitive functions so you can be able to type people just like me. So let's go look at the monkeys over at Personality Database before we start. Okay, they have Simon Sinek as an infj. Okay, so we have our chart here, the chart. Okay, so infjs are direct responding. Okay, they're affiliative, they're abstract, they're global interest based. So, you know, global. They're taking big interest for everybody, the people. They're TIFE and they're SENI. Okay, he meets those metrics. We'll go ahead and call him an INFJ. If he doesn't meet those metrics, we'll find out what his actual personality type is. And guys, we're still doing the free typing sessions by us. I do think we are the best online, and we're doing it absolutely free. All we do is ask is that you subscribe to the channel, join our Discord. Discord is really popping off now. I have some of the best mods on both, but I'm really loving my moderators in Discord right now. So join over there. And message our moderator Cody, and he'll get back to you with one of our availabilities for the free typing sessions. And like I said, we take our time with this. We really care about getting your type right. And overall goal with this is to build the most accurate MBTI group in space, so therefore we can actually get accurate information. So join us, and this will be a fun thing. And comment below what you think Simon Sinek's personality type is. Personality Database has him as 9FJ, so
you're trying to...
I don't really know this guy that well, so...
accomplish. All right, today's guest understands leadership, and I am not talking about from a features and benefits standpoint. I'm talking about from a Jedi level, deep limbic system standpoint. The way that he combines an understanding of biology and psychology, and quite frankly, just the overall human condition, gives his insights unparalleled potency and usability, which you know I am obsessed with. His lessons on leadership ring true not only because he spent the better part of a decade systematically studying them, but because his transition from marketing consultant to evangelist for global change came as a result of a personal crisis. Having fallen out of love with the very company he created, he turned about with depression into a revolution of the self that has helped him become one of the most impactful voices in the world of leadership. His TED Talk on how great leaders inspire action through their why is the third most viewed talk of all time on TED.com. He's the two-time best-selling author whose ideology has captured the imagination of some of the most
Damn, I feel bad. I don't know who the fuck this guy is.
important leaders of our time, including the heads of many Fortune 500 companies, the U.S. government, and multiple branches of the military and the United Nations. Now, why is he so popular? Because his insights cut to the heart of what people crave in their leaders, an ability to create an environment that fosters trust and a feeling of emotional safety and the willingness to sacrifice themselves when necessary for the benefit of others. Please help me in
That sounds like some fucking FE shit there.
welcoming the man whose own vision for the future is so inspiring. An army is rising up around him, and I very much include myself in that. The author of Together is Better, Start with Why, and Leaders Eat Last.
Oh shit, I got that book, Start with Why. I had that book. Oh man. Oh damn, I didn't even know that.
Incomparable Simon Sinek.
I actually like that book too. God damn. Damn, I've been reading so many books now, I don't even remember the fucking authors and shit.
What a pleasure it is to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Truly our pleasure, by the way. You've been a part of the lexicon of this company since we started, when we were a very small handful of people in a very lonely office in Compton. our chief marketing officer, Nick Robinson, said, dude, this guy's written like exactly what we talk about here. You've got to see it. It codifies everything that we've sort of been bumbling around with. And first he made us watch your talk, the TEDx talk, which was amazing. And then he had us all read the book. And it really did formalize sort of those vague notions of what this needed to become for us. And so that became our mantra. Like, we need to understand our why. Which forced us to really put language behind it, which has been just incredibly, incredibly instructive. And one of the goals of the show is to bring on people.
Tom, shut the fuck up.
That I just owe a debt of gratitude, so I can say thank you.
That's nice of you.
So
thank you.
Thank you. It
You're welcome.
really, really has been amazing. So if it's amazing.
Thank
now
you.
I haunted your Twitter feed.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
And I wanted to start with something that you put on there. And you said, we can learn about our future from our past because regardless of technology or the speed of innovation, people are still people.
True.
The thing that I really found interesting is you seem to understand people. What are some key traits about just humans that every leader should know?
Well, I think one of the things that we forget is that we are a legacy machine working in a very different environment than we were designed for, you know? Our species sort of started showing up about 50,000 years ago. There were other hominid species that existed at the time. They died off, we survived. And it was those evolutionary traits that gave us the opportunity to outlive our competition, but also survive and thrive, even as the environment around us changed. We lived in populations that were never bigger than about 150 people for 40,000 of the 50,000 years that we've lived on this planet. It's only the past 10,000 years with farming that we've been living in populations that were larger than that. In other words, we're not made for this, which means all the rules of being human are exactly the same as they used to be when we were living in populations of about 150. And so if you can understand those things, you really understand what works and what doesn't work, regardless of the conditions. The fact of the matter is we are social animals, and we respond to the environments we're in, always. Our very survival depends on our ability to cooperate and trust with the people that we live or work with, right? You can take a good person and put them in a bad environment, and that person will do bad things. You can take a
That's fact. I think that's true.
person who maybe the group doesn't trust, maybe they've even performed bad acts. You put them in a good environment, and they're capable of turning their lives around and becoming remarkable members of society. In other words,
That is the same thing. Maybe Alex Hormozy stole it from him, but that's the number one thing that Alex Hormozy always talks about. Change your environment, you change your life. Change your environment, you change your life.
it's not the person, it's the environment. Leaders are responsible for that environment. And I think leaders forget that. Leaders think that they're responsible for the results. There's not a leader on the planet that is responsible for the results. A leader is responsible for the people who are responsible for the results. And if you take care of that, take care of the people, take care of the environment.
Okay, you see this guy's people focus. Keeps going back to the people. That's interest. Okay, he keeps going back to the people. He's not talking about like the system or anything like that. He's talking about the people. So I'm gonna hit him for interest there. Seems more global interest than pragmatic interest. Pragmatic interest is kind of like, what do I get out of the situation right now or in the near future. But he's talking about, like, you know, the interest of people in general, like overall, globally, like how to make them better.
Things go just fine. You know, we're obsessed with this idea of like getting the right people on the bus, you know, as if it's this game that you just sort of keep changing people out, you know, some sort of mix and match or something. But we never ask which bus and who's driving the bus, right. You know, because the bus matters, you know. So I'm more obsessed with what happens to people when they come together in protected or unprotected environments and how we respond to those.
When people come together, I'm gonna hit him with a field there, okay? Because he's talking about cooperation here. David Keirsey has the word cooperation. Linda Barrens changed that to affiliative. But basically, you know, he's talking about cooperation. He's talking about coming together. He's not talking about independent action. He's not talking about things of that nature. He's not talking about the pragmatic state. So I'm gonna hit him for affiliative here. So just off this alone, affiliative and interest, we're looking at an NF straight up, like immediately, like the whole board's gone. But that's only a couple points.
Yeah, that was a key insight for me. Like you say that you recursively ask why until you get to the point where you can't go backwards anymore. And that to me is one of those moments.
Asking why until you can't get backwards anymore, that's a TI thing to do. So I'm hitting for TIFE there, okay? Why? TI is the understanding function, okay? So we have all the functions broken down. But generally speaking, if someone's always hunting the why behind a lot of things, it's generally a TI user, okay? Especially if they're tracking it all the way back, okay? They're trying to understand things.
It's like when you understand that humans just by their nature, they react to their environment, all of a sudden it becomes pretty critical to think about the bus, right? Not only who's on the bus, but what is the bus, what's that environment? So I get it from a leadership perspective when you have rank, which you do a very good job of delineating between a leader and rank. Help people understand how if you don't have rank, how you could still be a leader for change in an environment that needs change.
So as you said, leadership has nothing to do with rank, right? Leadership is a responsibility. As you gain rank, you may have more responsibility.
Responsibility, that's affiliative again.
Over the lives of more people, but it doesn't change the nature of leadership. I know many, many people who sit at the highest levels of organizations who are not leaders. They have authority, and we do as they tell us because they have authority over us, but we wouldn't follow them. And yet I know many people who've made a choice, who have no rank, but they've made a choice to look after the person to the left of them and look after the person to the right of them. And we would follow them anywhere. And that's what leadership is.
He's big on affiliative, okay? Look after the person to the left, look at the person to the right. Who is this guy sounding like? Some Jesus-esque shit.
It's the responsibility to take care of the people around us, the people with whom we work.
Responsibility to take care of the people around us. No pragmatic person gonna say that shit. It's almost we're almost ready to go ahead and close off affiliative.
And leadership is a practice like any other. It is a skill that can be learned. And that means it requires practice. You don't just suddenly get a promotion, you're now in a management position and you're a leader, right? That's not how it works. If only, right? If only, I know. The reality is we have to learn it and we have to practice it and we have to get good at it, which is what the junior ranks are for. So even if you don't have the ability to make decisions that will impact the entire organization, you do have the ability to make decisions that will impact the life of another human being, how they feel about their own jobs, how well their
how they feel, FE.
Responsibility goes, how easily they can get work done, how supported they feel.
See, this is all going cooperation here. This is all going cooperation, affiliative. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and knock that off. He's affiliative. Okay, we got Simon Sinek. We got you affiliative, brother. You are all about cooperation here, and I have no problem with that. I think as an intj, you have to learn that. Like, you really have to learn that. You're just as good as your people, and a lot of times, we think we can just throw people away and replace them. But in actuality, you fucking can't. And if you throw away the wrong person, that could cost you your fucking ass. For instance, Skip Bayless threw away Shannon Sharp. Now his show's hurting very badly, and Shannon Sharp is blown up. Sometimes it being an NT or something, you feel like you just throw someone one away and replace them and do the same thing. And the shit doesn't always work like that. So take care of your people. You'll go a lot farther.
Do they feel if they make a mistake? Do they feel that they can turn to you and ask you for help? That's all within your control.
Do they feel FE?
It's the same thing as being in a relationship or being a friend. Being a good friend, means that our friends can rely on us, they can trust us, they can turn to us.
You hear all this affiliative stuff, man? Come on. You trying to win a Nobel Peace Prize?
There's no difference. It's human beings, it's human relationships. At the end of the day, becoming a leader is about a transition. And everybody has to go through it if you want to become a leader. And as an aside, I will say, leadership is like parenting in the sense that everybody has the capacity to be a parent. Right. That doesn't mean everybody wants to be a parent, and that doesn't mean everybody should be a parent. Right. Leadership is the same. Everyone has the capacity to be a leader. It doesn't mean everybody wants to be a leader, and it doesn't mean everybody should be a leader. And the reason
Going back to what people want here, that's NE there.
is it comes with massive, massive responsibility. Sometimes people just don't want it. It's a lifestyle they choose not to have, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But if someone chooses that is a lifestyle they would like to have, they would like to become a leader, then they have to acknowledge that they will.
We got a TI statement. Check it out, boys. In real time.
And the reason is it comes with massive, massive responsibility. Sometimes people just don't want it. It's a lifestyle they choose not to have, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But if someone chooses,
now let's go hunt for the then.
That is a lifestyle they would like to have, they would like to become a leader, then they have to.
Oh, we got it. Oh, we got it. Then. Oh, we got it. Oh, we got it. Let's go back there.
Someone chooses that is a lifestyle they would like to have, they would like to become a leader, then they have to acknowledge.
Oh, there's the then. TI. Those are syllogisms. We go over this in the breakdown of what TI is and how you can find it.
That they will or need to go through a transition. When we're very, very junior, the only thing we have to do is be good at our jobs. That's it, right? Some people go get advanced degrees in how to do their jobs, engineers or accountants. And if you're good at your job, they'll promote you. And eventually you'll get promoted to a position where you're now responsible for the people who do the job you used to do, but nobody teaches us how to do that. And we just expect them to be good at leadership, right? It's as if we put somebody in front of a machine and demanded results, but never showed them how to use the machine. Yeah. And so the reason we get managers, the reason we get micromanagers, the reason we get bad leaders is because nobody showed them how to do the job of leadership, for one. And two, they can't help themselves. Of course they're going to tell you to do it their way because they actually do know how to do it better than you, because that's what got them the promotion in the first place. Right. And the transition we have to make is that we are no longer responsible for the job. As I said before, we now become responsible for the people who are responsible for the job, right? There's not a manager around who's responsible for the results. We're responsible for the people who are responsible for the results. I love talking to
people. I'm hitting for global interest and affiliative. People.
CEOs, and I'm like, what's your priority? They say, my priority is my customer. I'm like, you haven't talked to a customer in 10 years. You know, you have no impact on a customer at all.
Right.
SE impact, okay. So we're hitting for SENI. There's a lot of other SENI here. This guy is looking like an NFJ, especially when you get affiliative. And we already got TIFE. So, yeah, it's looking like it. He's an NFJ.
What you can do is screw with someone's life, who will then impact your customer, or support someone who will then impact your customer.
You see all this shit?
Right?
God damn, bro. I can't. It's hard for me to listen to him. It really is. It's so hard for me to listen to this guy, man. Because we have conflicting ideologies.
Powerful.
Leaders are responsible for the people, who are responsible for the people, who are responsible for the people, who are responsible for the customer.
Responsible for the people, and the people, and the people, and the... All right. Sometimes, man, I have a problem with that, because you say you're in charge of people, but not everybody desires the things that you want. Not everybody wants the things that you want. Not everybody has the drive that you have. A lot of times when you're in a leadership position, I see it as sometimes I have to pull everybody along the way. And sometimes that shit's draining. But let's go ahead and hit him for affiliative. He's also direct. He's TIFE. So we're down to NFJ here. We're down to either ENFJ or INFJ. Now, whatever this guy is, he's a fucking prodigy, okay? Prodigy, whatever you want to call it.
Get that chain right. That is the chain of command. Get that chain right. And
in whatever subset it is, it's probably dominant, okay?
Everything goes just fine. Get that chain wrong, and then the people who are touching the customer, inventing the product, selling the product, figuring out ways how to build the company, manage the numbers, manage the processes, manage the operations. In other words, all the heavy lifting. Right. Get that chain wrong, and those people will spend more time protecting themselves from you than doing their job. Yeah. Right? Any company, for example, where
Let me go and hit him for interest because this guy's just people focused. I mean, like I always talking about is people. So, and you see, he's not talking about what he gets out of it. He's like people focused, like trying to do it in the best interest of all people. He wants you to be a good leader for all people. Like I said, sometimes there's conflicting ideologies for myself because I really don't have the patience that this NFJ has. Because a lot of times you can help people and that shit blows up in your face, or you try to help another person and it blows up in your face, or sometimes you help people and you notice it goes to waste. So then me as a ENTJ, I just cut myself off from people. I'm just like, I start, especially when I was younger, I used to just look at people and be like, all right, this person's trash, this person's not, this person trash, this person not, this person trash, this person not, this person got a future, that person don't. And I mean, and it plays out the same way that I saw it. So, but this guy, Captain Save-A-Ho, you got Captain Save-A-Ho energy.
it is standard practice in that company for employees to feel the need to send a CYA email
Talking about what they feel, FE again.
after every decision they make. Is a sign that they're taking time and energy out of their job away from advancing the company's mission in order to protect themselves from their own company. That's what that is. Any company where it is standard practice for people to feel the need to keep a folder of all the good things they've done in their careers just in case they need it, is a sign that they're taking time and energy out of their day away from doing their job in order to protect themselves from their own leaders. That's what that is. Those are signs.
I mean, I like this guy, but I hope he knows that no matter what you do for people, they'll still burn your ass at the fucking stake, okay? A la Jesus, okay? It don't matter what you do, somebody got something negative, so you can make the perfect environment for everybody and they still will burn your ass at the stake. So that's why, we have our different ideologies, him being NFJ and me being the NTJ. We have our different ideologies because regardless of the fact, you will still get burned at the stake.
Of bad leadership. Politics, gossip. All of these things are people acting out of self-interest. That's what politics and gossip is.
See, talking about interest here.
Right? In well-led organizations, you tend to find very little politics and very little gossip because we're not competing at that level. We're now working together to compete at a much higher level. I'll tell you one quick story. It's a true story that captures it just so perfectly. I was staying at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas, which is a wonderful hotel. And the service there is really great. The reason it's such a great hotel is because of the people who work there. And I had an experience with
Buddy, keep going back to the people.
a young man by the name of Noah. And Noah's a barista in the coffee shop that they have just there in the lobby. And I was buying a cup of coffee, and Noah was charming and funny and engaging. And I think I gave 100% tip. I think my $5 coffee, I think I gave a $5 tip. I mean, this guy was great. I loved talking to him. He was a joy. And I asked...
All right, so I'm going to be hunting for outcome versus progression now to see if he's either an ENFJ or INFJ.
asked him, do you like your job? He said to me, I love my job, without skipping a beat.
Wow.
And I asked, what is it that the Four Seasons is doing that you love your job so much? He says, without skipping a beat, he says, throughout the day, managers will walk past and ask how I'm doing and if there's anything that I need. He said, not just my manager, any manager.
Wow.
He says, I feel supported here. He says, quote, I can be myself, right? Then, it's magic. And then he says to me,
Some strong fucking FE here, man.
I also work at Caesar's Palace. And there, the managers go around to make sure that we're doing everything right and catch us if we do something wrong. He says, when I go to work at Caesar's Palace, I keep my head just under the radar because I don't want to get in trouble. He says, I just want to get through the day and make a paycheck. Right?
Wow.
Same person.
Right.
The experience that I have at the Four Seasons will be diametrically opposite to the experience that I have at Caesar's Palace, not because of Noah, but because of Noah's leadership.
Right.
And the joke is, if I were to go talk to the managers over at Caesar's Palace and say, it's you, they'll say, but you don't understand, we cannot get good work out of our people. Look, no matter how hard we try and how hard we push them, they just don't, so we either have to replace them or push them harder. No. We respond to the environments.
He's complaining about them NTJs, baby. Hey, sometimes, man, it's rough out here, man. I don't care what no one says, finding a good worker is hard.
in. Get the environment right, you get the right behavior. Get the environment wrong, you get the wrong behavior. If that is what is happening.
I think, this is my thing. He's saying change the environment, all this. And I personally think if you change the environment, it changes the people that you will actually attract to your corporation. You know, like if you see, I'm pretty sure everyone knows about Chick-fil-A or whatnot. They generally have people that are very happy, and that comes from their environment. So their environment attracts certain type of people. But if you try to cut the cost all the time, and you try to finagle everything and penny pinch everything all the way down to the bottom, you get shitty quality of people. Okay, so that's what I've noticed. Like, so if you wanted to make your business better or whatnot, it really starts from what you do. Like, don't penny pitch as much. Like, actually give people opportunities to grow. I think that's what a lot of the top chain people do. Like, they just forget about people down there. But you should always keep an environment where they can grow, where they can be better, and being okay with it. It's kind of like in our community. Like, I don't care about typing people for free. You know, I don't care if you learn everything that I teach you and then you go about your own fucking business. That's cool. That's part of the cycle. That's life. That's how I see how everything is. People are here for a moment. But I think a lot of people try to squeeze down there, and once you're squeezing down there, you squeeze out like the people that are actually like care about actually being good people or good work or whatnot. So I think that's what he's talking about here.
It is because of leadership, not because of the people.
Yeah, there was a really famous cartoon back in the 80s, The Beatings Will Continue Until the Morale Improves. Yeah, I always thought that was hilarious because it's so terrifyingly accurate.
And astonishingly, look, I'm embarrassed that I have a career. You know, I talk about things like trust and cooperation. Why is there demand for my work, you know? But the fact that there is, I'll take it as an opportunity. Yeah. But what's really sort of abominable...
You went right into interest, entity, wise mind there, and then right into the interest. I'll take it as an opportunity.
Is that this is not a new idea. Like, there are books galore and speeches galore and articles galore about what leadership is. You know, we all kind of say the same thing from a different angle, so you can pick your flavor, whichever message resonates most with you, and yet people don't do it. What's the hang up? And so I get this question a lot, which is, what are the most important characteristics about being a leader? You know, vision, charisma, you know? I know some spectacular leaders who don't have big Steve Jobsian visions. They're just not visionary, you know? And I know some spectacular leaders who really don't have a lot of charisma. They kind of just shuffle around, and you're like, that's the guy. Like, that's the guy, right? And they're spectacular, and people will give blood, sweat, and tears for these people. The one thing I am comfortable saying that all effective leaders must have is courage, because it is hard. It is hard to stand up against outside pressure. It is hard to stand up to an external constituency who's pushing you to do something for their short-term gain, to do the right thing for your people. It is hard. It is thankless. It is lonely. Sometimes you get fired. Sometimes you get in trouble. Sometimes you'll lose your job, and the next guy will get all the credit. It's all true. And the courage to do the right thing in the face of overwhelming...
The courage to do the right thing, affiliative.
Pressure. Only the best leaders have that courage. Only the best leaders. And here's the folly. Courage is not some deep internal fortitude. You don't dig down deep and find the courage, right? It just doesn't exist. Courage is external. Our courage comes from the support we feel from others. In other words, when you feel that someone has your back, when you know that the day that you admit you can't do it, someone will be there and say, I got you. You can do this. That's what gives you the courage to do the difficult thing. It's not going off to an ashram
That's cooperation yet again.
by yourself somewhere for 4 weeks and coming back and finding the courage. It's not what happens. It's the relationships that we foster. It's the people around us who love us and care about us and believe in us. And when we have those relationships, we will find the courage to do the right thing. And when you act with courage, that in turn will inspire those in your organization to also act with courage. In other words, it's still an external thing. That's what inspiration is, right? I'm inspired to follow your example. But those relationships that we foster over the course of a lifetime will not only make us into the leaders we need to be and hope we can be, but they'll often save your life. They'll save you from depression, they'll save you from giving up, they'll save you from any...
Yeah, see, and I've been kind of lost in trance here listening to this guy, because like I said, he has a different philosophy than I have for a lot of things, but I mean, he does make a pretty good sense. A lot of times, it's not the leader all the time that does all the big work. Like if you watch football or whatnot, you know, Tom Brady may get the praise and everything, but it's also the receivers, the running backs, the O-line, the defense, the coach, it's everything, you know. It's not just one person. And you do need good people around them. And if you heard it from me, take care of your good people. Take care of your good people. All right? Take care of your good people. But also build a culture where people want to be there. Okay? If people want to be there, you're going to go up. You're going to do well. You're going to do well.
Matter of, you know, negative feelings about your own capabilities, your own future. When someone just says, I love you, and I will follow you no matter what.
Why do you, so I want to talk about that for a second. Why do you think that something so innate, so deeply ingrained in us as love is so, like just yesterday, I can't believe this is true, this is actually true, I'm not making this up. Just yesterday, this will mean something to you guys, I looked Ron Pennant in his eyes and I said, I love you. And I said it like 100%, is my business partner, I said it 100% sincerely. It was just one of those moments where you want to connect and remember. But that's so weird. Like, I don't do that often. And it's so interesting that it becomes out of context,
Sure.
maybe is the best way to say it. Because, like, at home with my wife, it's so easy, and I love to embody it, and I love to feel it, and it makes me feel awesome. But then I come into the office, and there's something about the context that makes it weird.
Yes, two perspectives. One is, this is what vulnerability is, right? Being vulnerable doesn't mean crying. Being vulnerable means willing to admit you made a mistake. Being vulnerable.
So he's giving a definition for vulnerable. So defining, it's under TI. So hit up TI again. Okay, come on, man.
Is the willingness to say, I need help. Being vulnerable is the willingness to express the feelings you have towards someone without fear of what other people may think of you by making that expression. And most people, especially if they don't have a trusting environment or a strong corporate culture, most people don't want to feel vulnerable. It's dangerous to feel vulnerable. If you admit you made a mistake or you don't know what you're doing, you've been promoted into a job that you have no clue or no business being in that job, lying, hiding, and faking is a much better option, right? But for the fact that it's more stressful and ultimately the results will falter, right? It's counterintuitive. But that's what a strong environment means. It means I can be vulnerable. So the fact that you can say that out loud means that there's a loving, trusting culture here that is okay with you being vulnerable. Nobody's thinking, oh my God, this company's going downhill. This guy's nuts. He's blubbering all over the place. You know, that's not what people are thinking. I mean, some people are probably thinking it, but generally that's not what people are thinking. If anything, people are going cool, and that then inspires them to feel that they can also express vulnerability, like admitted mistake.
So if you were taking notes here, he did say what other people are thinking. That's usually TE, but we know this guy's an NFJ. We also went back to field, that'd be FE.
Like say they screwed up, like say they need help, let's say, you know, they want to offer help to someone and not fear that either. So that's one perspective. The other reason why stuff that I talk about or that you're talking about now is so often ignored is just because it's hard to measure. You know, how do you measure leadership? How do you measure it?
That's going to be one of my questions.
How do you measure trust? You know, they lack good metrics. It's very easy to measure revenues and profits and market share. So let's focus on those things, because I can like pull a lever here and see what happens over there.
Right.
But in terms of like trust, I'll pull a lever here and I won't see anything for 6 months. So it's not that I don't know that it exists. Everybody talks about the importance of culture, yet nobody seems to be focused on building it. I've never met a CEO in my life who doesn't think people are important And yet every day they're making decisions that prioritize a number over a person that literally don't care about people.
So like systematic people have a problem of prioritizing numbers over people. Okay, you can see the contrast here. He's like, fucking put the people first. Systematic people are like, put the system over the people. It is what it is. I am leaning infj here because this guy is talking like he's going through his entire process, thinking to get everything out. I'm not seeing outcome, short bursts, pretty much, or like he's going towards an end product here. So I'm going to be leaning INFJ. We're gonna go back, listen some more.
They make decisions that literally brush people aside because it's hard to measure in an ultra speedy, algorithmic world that we live in. What gets measured gets done.
You can see his like disdain for this fucking numbers and metrics and TE. You could just see it. He just fucking hates TE. He just hates the shit.
These things are measurable, just not in the short term.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because when you talk about making this a movement, which is really exciting to think that there's this crusader out there who is incredibly effective at communicating this stuff and getting people excited about it and actually taking things from the ephemeral and making it very tangible. Yep. Do you think that's a question you're going to have to answer at some point? Like to show people how we measure?
Metrics are fine. The metrics are fine. They're just not in the short term and they're just not fixed in time.
What are they?
So for example, do you love your wife?
Yes.
Right? Prove it. Like, what's the metric? Give me the number that helps me know, right? Because when you met her, you didn't love her, right? Now you love her, right? Tell me the day the love happened. It's an impossible question, right? But it's not that it doesn't exist. It's that it's much easier to prove over time, right? So all leadership is the same thing.
All right, so that's progression. Talking about the progression of love there. Like it's not just a defined it's a progression over time.
About transitions. So if you were to go to the gym, right? It's like exercise, right? If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing.
We're going progression again. There we go. We got some big progression. He also was talking about transitioning earlier, so that's another
question, right? But it's not that it doesn't exist. It's that it's much easier to prove over time, right?
Over time progression.
Leadership is the same thing. It's about transitions. So if you were to go to the gym, right? It's like exercise, right? If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing.
Yep, progression.
And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing, right? So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit, right? Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, like in a relationship, I bought her flowers and I wished her happy birthday, and she doesn't love me. Clearly I'll give up. That's not what happens. If you believe there's something
basically saying bro ain't got his outcome bro out, okay? Okay, so this is showing that he's not outcome focused, that he is journey focused, okay? Because outcome focused person, they do this and they don't get it, done.
That this is the right course of action and you stick with it, like in a relationship.
So basically what he's saying right now is highlighted in Linda Barrens' book. It's called Direct Responding. They believe in trust the process. Trust the process. When you hear the word trust the process, you usually are looking at a finisher type, okay? They believe in, if I make the perfect process, I'll get the results.
I bought her flowers and I wished her happy birthday, and she doesn't love me. Clearly I'll give up. That's not what happens. If you believe there's something there, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up.
The process again.
Eat chocolate cake one day. You can skip a day or two.
I love that he's finally going after the process.
It allows for that. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. And
okay, buddy, we got you.
the same with the relationship. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency, right? You go to the dentist twice a year.
Yeah, so he's been beating the hell out of progression here.
year, your teeth will fall out. You have to brush your teeth every day for 2 minutes. What does brushing your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes do? Nothing. Unless you do it every day, twice a day for 2 minutes. Right? It's the consistency. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. So the problem is we treat leadership with intensity. We have a 2-day offsite, we invite a bunch of speakers, we give everybody a certificate. You're a leader, right? Those things are like going to the dentist. They're very important. They're good for reminding us or getting us back on track, learning new lessons. But it's the daily practice of all the monotonous, little, boring things like brushing your teeth that matter the most. She didn't fall in love with you because you remembered her birthday and bought her flowers on Valentine's Day. She fell in love with you because when you woke up in the morning, you said good morning to her before you checked your phone. She fell in love with you because when you went to the fridge to get yourself a drink, you got her one without even asking. She fell in love with you because when you had an amazing day at work and she came home and she had a terrible day at work, you didn't say, yeah, but let me tell you about my day. You sat and listened to her awful day and you didn't say a thing about your amazing day. This is why she fell in love with you. I can't tell you exactly what day, and it was no particular thing you did. It was the accumulation of all of those little things.
Accumulation of all those little things, the journey, progression, movement, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
That she woke up one day and as if she pressed a button, she goes, I love him, right? Leadership is exactly the same. There's no event. There's no thing I can tell you have to do that your people will trust you. It just doesn't work that way. It's an accumulation of lots and lots of little things that anyone by themselves is innocuous and useless. Literally, pointless by themselves. People will look at little things that are good leadership practices and say, that won't work. And you're absolutely right. But if you do it consistently, and you do it in combination with lots of other little things, like saying good morning to someone, that looking them in the eye. My friend George, who's a 3-star general in the Marine Corps, he says his test for leadership, and I love this, he goes, his test for...
I'm done with him. I'm ready to hit him. Okay, so he's INFJ. We saw right there, we got our progression that we wanted. It was absolutely beautiful. Textbook, right when we needed it. He's progression focused. He did a good distinction to show you that he's not outcome focused, okay? He is progression focused. So he's an INFJ. Simon Sinek is an INFJ. I mean, it kind of made me sick with all the goddamn people shit, but it is what it is, you know. Maybe, you know, I'll steal some of that one day. I'll steal some of that. I do try to make sure that my people are happy, but not just all people, okay? My people. So responding, abstract, interest, he's global interest. You gotta understand the difference between pragmatic interest and global interest. NFs are global interests. They try to look at what's best for humanity, people in general. They're not just looking about like what the fuck I get out of it, you know, out of the situation. That's pragmatic interest. Then you got pragmatic versus affiliative. Okay, he is obviously all about cooperation here. He's not pragmatic. He's direct, so he's specific, concise, and to the point. Everything he says is pretty close-ended. Informative is open-ended. We break down all these metrics, okay? He's progression, so he believes in the continuation of small things to get to the product that you want. It's not about designing a set thing to get to one thing. It's like, okay, if I do these set acts over and over and over again, I will get to the results. If I can build the perfect process, if I can trust my process, then I'll get the results. It's not about the end product, but you know how I get there. So progression, he's SENI, okay, and he's TIFE. We saw that with the syllogisms, talking about how other people feel. Very empathetic person here. I'm gonna hit him for prodigy level. Okay, he's prodigy level. INFJ. If you're an INFJ, I highly recommend you watch his work. For me as a person, if I'm trying to better myself, then I'm watching other, pretty much anyone that's in my sphere. So generally speaking, I like to watch the intjs because they speak more to me. They see the world through my lens. But I also look at the NTPs as well because they help me home in on things that I do need to work on. I remember typing Elon Musk, and he talked about how he was able to cut costs, and it was basically he used his TI to cut costs. asking why was this part on the car. Okay, what did this part do? Because in a lot of the manufacturing, people were putting things that didn't need to be there. But if he could take that away because it didn't need to be there, and these people aren't communicating with these people, he can bring down the cost. So I saw that, and I'm like, I'm gonna steal that. Okay, if I ever get in a position like that, I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna implement that in whatever business I decide to do in the future. But that's just how I see it. Like, so if you are the NFJ, I would definitely look at if you're an NFJ, I look at ENFJs and INFJs. Okay, they're probably gonna speak to you the most. But then also look at your NFPs, your ENFPs and your INFPs. They'll help you as well. So I got enough for Prodigy. I'm gonna go to W3 here with this guy. I'm gonna go social. Okay, I think the social one is. I think that's the counter type. I'm pretty sure because he definitely sounds like that. And I'm gonna hit sexual SOXX 2W3 Prodigy, and I'm gonna hit him dominant. He seems to be dominant INFJ. He has no problem taking charge. A lot of INFJs can really struggle taking charge with, SC inferior and TE trickster. Okay. So we got Simon Sinek as a dominant INFJ, Prodigy level 2W3, social/sexual. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm probably going to steal some of his shit from this too and put it in my grand vision as well. But this is Mongolian Mindset, and we are out.